Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we continue talking about Celtic, which at the minute isn't necessarily a good thing, but it has to be done. Now, some of the things we're going to talk about today are a little bit outdated. We already know what the script is with January. Business needs to be done, both with clearing out some dead wood and by bringing in some quality players. However, because of the performances and because of the crisis that seems to be going on at the minute, we haven't had the chance to discuss it in depth. So that's exactly what we're going to try and do today. So buckle up, and we'll try and get through this relatively quickly. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe as we try and get towards 50,000 subscribers. That would be much appreciated. Just drop down below, both buttons, absolutely free, cost you nothing, and it would help me out massively. So let's do that. Let's try and get as many subs as we can in this festive period, shall we? So it's no secret that January is a massive month for Celtic. After some concerning performances in recent weeks and recruitment looking foolish in the past couple of windows, January is becoming one of the most important transfer windows in recent memory. We need to make some quality additions, and ultimately we just need to make some intelligent additions to the Celtic side. Too many players have been signed in recent windows who have came in and offered nothing to the club. They haven't upgraded or improved on what we already have. And suddenly we're looking at players who have joined us as recent as the summer transfer window who could be leaving in the January transfer window. It's been a mess. And that's putting it bluntly. Now, Brendan Rodgers has been very open in recent months in regards to the quality that needs to come into Celtic. After some European games, he spoke about how we need to add 4 or 5 quality players, that we don't have the required quality to compete with these European sides. He hasn't hid away from that, and I think it's become more evident on paper, week in, week out, that the team sheets we're putting out don't have the required quality to even challenge domestically at the minute, which is nuts to say, and I don't think that should be the case. We've spoke about the reasons for why we've been so poor in recent weeks, but ultimately when you go through the squad depth, and if you just scroll through the squad player by player, it isn't looking great at the minute, and that's the honest truth. Of course, we've got some fantastic players here at Celtic, guys who have been brilliant for the last 2 or 3 years, but beyond those, household names, there's a lot of players there that are really stealing a wage here at Celtic Football Club. So, in both sides of the transfer window, going out and coming in, Celtic need to do business, and they need to do it fast, and they need to do it smart. That's one thing that's been lacking, is just a bit of intelligence, and a bit of, there's been a real cluelessness around what we've been doing. The recruitment has to be questioned, and the people making the decisions at the top of that ladder need to be questioned, whether it be Mark Lawwell, whether it be Brendan Rodgers, or any other scout. Why are we signing dross? Why are we not signing quality? Why are we accepting recommendations from agents as to who we should sign, rather than doing our homework and doing things with a bit of brain in it? I don't know what's going to happen in January. I don't know who's to blame, but it certainly has to be better. So why don't we start with incomings for a minute here, because we know that Celtic need to improve in a number of areas. I think it's been outlined by basically every Celtic fan that there's kind of 3 or 4 standout positions that Celtic need to improve on. A goalkeeper, a left back, a striker, and then, you could argue around the pitch for where a 4th should come in. Could be another centre half, could be another full back, could be another central midfielder, could be another winger. But the 3 main ones, the biggest priority should be goalkeeper, left back and striker. And over recent weeks we have been hearing developments in regard to some players who could be coming in to improve those areas. So we'll start with incomings. Mathias QUICKFIRE is a name who has been kind of linked with Celtic a number of times. Reportedly Celtic had a bid rejected for him in the summer transfer window, but now Celtic are being urged to get a deal done quickly if that is their man, if that's who they're wanting to go for. Apparently a lot of suitors now interested, and people already making their move and trying to land them at their club. So the Daily Record reported this yesterday morning about Mathias QUICKFIRE, saying that Celtic may need to move fast if they want to land striker Mathias QUICKFIRE, amid reports that Schalke have made their first real move to land the striker. Brendan Rodgers is on the hunt for an upfront replacement and needs quality, but as I've just said, it looks as though Mathias QUICKFIRE is a target for a number of clubs. Apparently, we had a £4.1 million rejected in the summer, which means they probably want more than that now, and we know what the board are like, and we know what we're like with our penny pinching. Are Celtic going to try and up that from 4.1 million to whatever Brøndby are looking for? I'm not entirely convinced. Because I don't know if there's enough there to convince me that this is the right player to go for. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he looks an amazing player and he's great and this, that, next thing. I've never seen him play in my life. Neither has probably 99% of us and 99% of you watching this video. Are Celtic going to pay, £5 million for Mathias Kvistgaard when Schalke and other clubs are already making their move? The pressure's on us, but will we rise to that pressure? 7 goals and 7 assists for Kvistgaard so far in 21 games this season. It is not a bad return. He's obviously able to find the net. He's a young player as well. But I think a lot of people are wanting that proven goal scorer to come into the club at this moment in time, rather than another project signing, somebody young who might come good, because there is that chance that they might not come good, and then you're wasting even more money. Are Celtic right now in a position to spend £5-6 million on a player for it not to work out well? I don't know, because the pressure's on the club and the manager, and that's a big risk to take. I think a lot of people would rather see somebody who is coming in to guarantee you goals. I don't think that necessarily lies there with Mathias Kvistgaard at this moment in time, but he is there. I think that's one that's going to probably develop over the next couple of weeks, and we'll just need to wait and see what happens. And that also goes for Thiago Araujo, who has been linked with Celtic for a number of weeks now. Stephen McGowan reported earlier in the week, or should I say last week, that he is now a strong possibility for Celtic. The left back coming in from Estoril in Portugal could be happening. There was talk of a £4 million move there for him to come into Celtic in January. Stephen McGowan seems pretty convinced that is a high possibility. Stephen McGowan being quite a reliable source, to be quite honest with you, so it looks as though that could be the left back that's coming in. Once again, similar to Mathias Kvistgaard, is there guaranteed quality coming in there? Has he played enough football to suggest that he's the right answer? I think the first thing for Thiago Araujo is he brings something that Greg Taylor's not got, and that's physicality, that's presence. Greg Taylor's a wee guy, skinny guy, hasn't got a lot of physicality in his game, whereas you're looking at a 6-foot left back here who has a bit more pounds on him, who might be better than Greg Taylor at dealing with physical attackers, who might be better at putting a tackle in and going for the ball. See Greg Taylor backing off a lot of times when, the ball's falling for the sky, he doesn't want to go up and contest for a header. This is something that might change if Thiago Araujo is the signing that Celtic make, but general point being, I think this is one that we're going to have to watch develop in the next few weeks. If I was to put my money on it, I think that he will become a Celtic player, Thiago Araujo. Now, £4 million is a lot of money, especially for a fullback. And when you consider the money we've spent on fullbacks in recent years, we need to start getting them right. We've spent money on Bernabei, who was upwards of £3 million. We've spent upwards of £3 million on Volleyball and Goalie. We've spent, obviously, I think around £3 million on Greg Taylor as well. We've signed other right backs on hefty wages, on loan deals, Moritz Bauer, Jeremy Toljan. There's been a lot of fullbacks that have came in and out the door in recent years at Celtic Park, and they haven't delivered to expectation. They haven't been good enough. Celtic need to start getting that right. And hopefully Thiago Araujo can be one of them, but I'm not going to sit here and say he's the answer, because once again, I've barely seen him. I think one of the biggest criticisms that's came around with Thiago Araujo is the fact he's not made an awful lot of senior appearances in his career so far. Granted, he is only 22, but I think it's like 60 odd appearances in his senior career. Currently spending his time in Estoril, who are, I think, towards the bottom end of the Portuguese Premier League. Once again, might not be the standout name that people want. The fullback market in January, though, is one that Celtic are going to have to shop in a difficult manner. I don't think there's a lot of standout players available for Celtic in the left back area, but this looks like the one that we could be going for. And, signed a lot of young Portuguese players recently. So I say a lot, a couple. One being a big hit, one being a bit of a miss. We need more hits than misses. And finally, there has been a couple of murmurs, some rumours circulating online that Celtic are interested in Nottingham Forest captain and former Aberdeen player Scott McKenna, who of course recently has been exiled from Nottingham Forest. He looks like he'll be leaving them in January. Steve Cooper has also been sacked today, so his future's very much up in the air. There have been rumours floating around all the forums that he's been linked with a move to Celtic. I'm not a huge Scott McKenna fan, I'm not going to lie. And I don't think there's much in this apart from rumours, but maybe keep an eye and see what happens, because he is destined to leave them in January. It is more surrounding the outgoings where there's a lot of discussion and you could go really in depth, because this club is in desperate need of a clear out. Now let's just start with the Lagerbielke stuff. It has been reported that he is apparently on the out after only joining for £3 million in the summer window. It looks as though he's one of the priorities for Celtic to get rid of in the window. A bizarre situation, something that should never have happened, and whoever has been in charge of this signing, the Gustav Lagerbielke signing, should really be questioned as to why this happened. I'm confused by it on so many levels, because I don't think he looked that bad. I actually think that he had a lot of positives in his game, as well as some negatives as well. But the fact that he's leaving so soon after spending quite a chunk of money on him is proper mind-boggling business, and the club should be worried about that for whoever has been at the top of the kind of the workings of these transfers. He's apparently on the way out. That's been reported a number of weeks. There are strong rumours that the likes of Alexandro Bernabe, Yuki Kobayashi, Yosuke Ideguchi will also leave on permanent deals. And we also have heard that apparently Nat Phillips will not be continuing his loan spell with Celtic. He'll be heading back to Liverpool, thank God. So that's the start of a January clear out, looking like it's going to happen. But beyond that, there's another 7 or 8 players who I would be looking to move on from Celtic this January window, trying to get the money wherever we can, and just clearing them out. Mikey Johnston, David Turnbull, Kwon, Yang, and a few more names that you could, James McCarthy, a few more names that you could sit and probably discuss in a lot more depth. They need to go. So it's a big January for Celtic to clear that wage bill, and they need to do it quickly, get the business done, and move these players on, because they're of no use to Celtic at this point. And it's a reason why things have been so stagnant alongside the poor tactics and such. These players aren't helping, they aren't contributing, and for me, their Celtic careers are over. In short, January is going to be a busy month for Celtic, and has to be a busy month for Celtic. Brendan Rodgers needs to put his stamp on this Celtic side, get the tools that he feels he needs to do the job properly. And then beyond that, we've got to see improvement from him himself, the manager, and his tactics and his style of football. We've got to get rid of so many players, though. I can't believe how many people are here stealing a wage and just not contributing, and wonder why we even signed them in the first place. And listen, I'm not going to blame the individuals. There's some players, guys like Kwon and Yang. It's not their fault we went out and signed them and they're not good enough. It was the club who decided they were good enough, and they're clearly not. They're out their depth. I don't hold any malice against guys like that, but the fact that they're here and they are being paid to contribute nothing to the club is a joke, and there has to be some real question in the boardroom as to why this is going on and why this is happening. Our summer recruitment was very poor, and we need to see a sharp upturn on that in January. Otherwise, the manager will be called to question, the board will be called to further questioning, and things will get even more toxic even quicker. Right, that does it for today. I'm sorry that I've kind of darted through everything quickly without really expanding on things with more depth. I don't want to be sitting here all day, especially when we're recording the podcast in a couple hours' time. So come to the podcast to get a bit more, and when there is more talk on who's definitely leaving and who's definitely coming in, we will cover those individuals in great depth. We'll look through their careers, we'll look through their stats, what they'll bring to Celtic. We'll do our homework and research together as an audience and a creator. But for now, that's your kind of flash in the pan update. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.